All right, this is Mr. Wrestler and Mr. Ernst. We're here doing the gene persistence lab. So just to kind of get a little bit of an idea of what this lab is, we're looking to simulate a population of rabbits, and we're tracking two specific alleles. Those alleles are over here. The green alleles are our dominant alleles. Animals that express this phenotype have fur, and they're happy and warm in winter, and they survive. Our recessive alleles are the orange ones, and these rabbits are unfortunately born naked, and in the winter they're sad and cold and dead. So when animals are born with this phenotype, or that genotype, they are dead and they are removed from the population. And the question that we're going to have in this lab is, do these alleles, do they survive? Do they make it to the end? We're going to run 10 generations here, and over the course of this video, Mr. Ernst and I will collect some data for you guys so that you will be able to do this lab within the time allotted. So Mr. Ernst and I have counted out 50 of these Applejack pieces of cereal, and we're going to go through here and do this. So Mr. Ernst here, if I actually get him in frame, there we go, is going to simulate the breeding process by shaking the bag. So good. and we're going to draw two alleles at a time to represent an animal. So here we go. And as he does so, I'm going to tally how many individuals we get. We're going to be tracking the genotypes. So right there we have a homozygous dominant genotype. We have a homozygous recessive genotype. And if he's good, no, he's not good. We'll be looking for a heterozygous one. But we're going to keep on pulling these. There we go. There's a heterozygous. Until we've pulled all 50 individuals. And we'll be back after a brief little hiatus as we get this data. So, yes. All right, so we are back after Generation 1. After Generation 1, Mr. Ernst and I, we have determined that there were 13 individuals that were homozygous dominant, 13 homozygous recessive, and that would be 24 individuals that were heterozygous. As we begin looking at the number of alleles, since every individual in this field here has two alleles, and they all have two greens, it means we have 26 from this field plus 24 from that field, for a grand total of 50. And since the math over here is exactly the same, we also have 50. Total number of alleles, that's 100, because 50 plus 50 is 100. And our percentages are as so, because we're split equal right now. Now, because the orange rabbits are, well, they're dead, we're going to dispose of those in some shape or form. So they are now in the lovely dead pile. Yay! And what we're going to do then is we're going to add the heterozygous individuals and the homozygous back into the bag because they have survived the harsh winters of Pennsylvania. And we're going to repeat the process. So here we go. Exciting breeding. Everyone's enthralled. And we start tallying again. We'll be back again after a short little break. All right, so Mr. Ernst and I have wrapped up the second generation. As you can see, we have fewer amount of dead, soon-to-be dead rabbits. And if you look at our totals over here, let's get it zoomed in. So, all right, we have 17 dominant genotype, homozygous dominant, there's the words, 16 heterozygous, and 4 homozygous recessive. If we do the math again, 17 times 2 is 34, plus 16 is still 50, which is kind of curious because it seems as if we'll never lose a green allele. So, I don't know. Let's go ahead and do this. That's easy. All right, over here, we have 4 homozygous recessive for times 2, it's 8, plus 16. That'd be 24 individuals. So out of that total, we have 74 total. And I don't feel like doing this math because you guys have calculators, most likely. So over here, our gene frequency will be 50 divided by 74. And over here, this should be 24 divided by 74. So it should be close to 2/3 and 1/3, but you'll figure that out. So once again, orange ones, dead. The heterozygous and the homozygous go back in there. And if you've noticed, we're seeing less and less of the homozygous recessive individuals. So ready for the exciting breeding process. So good. And we begin again. We're back after another short little break. So once again, we finished the generation 3. As you can see, we've had 20 homozygous dominant individuals, 10 heterozygous, and that's a 3 there. Good luck reading that. All right, so that once again, 20 times 2 is 40 plus 10 is 50. We're still good there. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 10 is 16 individuals in our, 16 alleles for the little f. That gives us a total of 66. And once again, you can do the math. 50 divided by 66 and 16 divided by 66. And just as before, our sad little cold bunnies die. One last little bounce before they go away. Our heterozygous and homozygous back in the box, well, not into the bag. Let's actually get into the tray. And we'll come back after a small break again. All right, and we're back after generation 4. We had an interesting occasion here where there will be no unhappy bunnies tonight. We got 20 homozygous dominant and 10 heterozygous and 0 homozygous recessive. So doing the math here, 20 times 2 plus 10 is still 50, so still good there. 10 individuals that have heterozygous traits, so that means there's only 10 left in the population. Put anything at 60, and if our percents are correct, we're going 50 divided by 60 and 10 divided by 60. I can do that in my head, but you have calculators, so too bad. All right, all the unhappy bunnies are none. Yeah, all right. All the happy bunnies go back in the box. Well, back in the bag. I keep on saying that, and we begin again. We'll be back after another short break. So we're getting a little faster this time. We're done with generation 5. This time we had 22 homozygous dominant bunnies, 6 heterozygous, 2 sad homozygous recessive bunnies. So once again, 22 times 2, that's 44, plus 6, still 50, still good there. 6 plus 2 times 2, that's 4, plus 6 is 10, so hey, look, everything's still the same, which would make sense because we had nothing die last round. But unfortunately for you guys, next round will be different. So do some math. All right, sad bunnies. Last little hurrah, and dead. And here we go, generation 6. All right, so we're back with generation 6 numbers. This is a 22, if you can't read it, and 6 homozygous heterozygous individuals, no homozygous bunnies. If you notice here, our numbers are continuously dropping, except for this one little blip. So things are going well for the bunny population. There's fewer and fewer sad bunnies. But if you look here, we have 22. That's 44 times 6. It's still 50, and we have 6 left over. So our total population is 56, and our percentage now is 50 divided by 56, and 6 divided by 56. Do some math. All right, no sad bunnies this time, so yay. All the live bunnies go back in the bag, and we are in for our 4th last generation. All right, we're back with our generation 7 numbers, and as it turns out, it is the same. So 2022 homozygous dominant, 6 heterozygous, 0 sad bunnies. We have 6 number of little f alleles, still 50 for big, and we are at 56, 50 over 56, and 6 over 56. All right, we have no sad bunnies, so all the bunnies go back in the bag. We have some exciting introduction to do, and we'll see if we can pull another sad bunny here. All right, we'll be back soon. Back again after generation 8, and surprise, surprise, nothing changed. We still have no sad bunnies, 22 homozygous dominant, 6 heterozygous. So our numbers are exactly the same. So for you math people out there, this is nice because your percentages just keep on staying the same. Okay, no sad bunnies. All the happy bunnies get back in. We have 2 more generations left. We'll see if we can finally get rid of this orange allele, or if it indeed persists. We're back after the next generation. Right, and we're back after generation 9. Despite Mr. Ernst's best efforts, we still can't kill a bunny. They're just very elusive. Anyway, same as last time. We have 6 of these guys, 56, 50 over 56. And once again, 6 over 56. We seem to be stabilizing. But we have our last little chance for our happy bunnies to make some babies, and then we'll be back for generation 10 in just a moment. Right, and we're here with our final generation. Despite Mr. Ernst's best, well, he resisted the effort to cheat here and kill one more rabbit. We are at the end. So it appears our final data. It looks like this. Okay, then while we're here, I do want to point out 1 or 2 little tidbits. If you've noticed, each time we go through a generation, the number of heterozygous individuals happens to be the same as the number of little f alleles in the next generation. So that might be something you might want to look into as you're answering some questions. In addition, just notice how hard it was for us to pull a orange bunny after generation 4. Natural selection happened very quickly, where a whole bunch of dudes died. Then we had a trickle of other ones dying. And then we mostly, except for this one little generation here, kind of stayed pretty much the same with no bunnies dying. But apart from this, from here you should be able to answer the questions. So there are some reflection questions here, as well as a lovely graph. I miss graphs. In this graph here, you're going to be asked to graph both the percentages, not the numbers, but the percentages of the 2 populations. So you'll have 2 different line graphs in this one. You probably want to try to color code them, one being orange and one being green, and show how those percentages change over time. There is one final question, and then that is the lab. So if you have any questions, please ask either Mr. Ernst or I, and we will be happy to assist you. That is it. Let's dig into the abyss, Mr. Pongratz. Yes.